One of the most famous and over-exaggerated concepts in astrology is Mercury Retrograde, often filled with so many viewpoints and sensationalism. So we will be moving beyond this thinking and look at what the retrograde planets represent. Now, it is not just Mercury which becomes retrograde. All the planets except the Sun and the Moon become retrograde. The word retrograde means to move backwards, although the correct term to use would be the apparent retrograde, because there are no planets which physically move backwards. The planet only seems to be moving backwards from our Earth because all the planets orbit at different speeds. The simplest way to understand retrograde planets is that as the planets orbit, there are times when certain planets become closer to the Earth, in orbit of course. This is when the planet which is retrograde is meeting Earth because they are orbiting at different speeds. Our example here is that of Earth and Mercury. As we know, Mercury is closer to the Sun, so Mercury is traveling faster than the Earth. So about 3 times a year, Mercury from our Earth's point of view becomes retrograde. The R symbol stands for retrograde and the D symbol is for direct. So the planets are said to be direct when orbiting normally. In our example, as Mercury is moving closer to the Earth, it is set to station or stop, obviously not literally stopping. It seems so because of different speeds that the planets are orbiting at. After the station, it becomes retrograde. Then the planets continue to move. As Mercury moves, it eventually goes direct, again as seen in the pictures. It is further away from the Earth. I have put a link to the video, which perfectly illustrates this movement in the description. So this is the physical viewpoint of the retrograde planet. Now let us look into the metaphysical meaning of a planet which goes retrograde from our Earth. In the natal chart, many people are born with a retrograde planet or more than one planet in retrograde, which has a certain meaning. Although everyone will feel the effect of a planet in retrograde as the planets orbit our solar system. Now, the first planet which carries a lot of media sensationalism is Mercury, which goes retrograde 3 times in our calendar year, and the period of retrograde is about 21 days. So like we saw in our illustration, a planet that goes retrograde is closer to the Earth, so the planetary energy becomes stronger or more in focus. So the metaphysical meaning of a retrograde planet is that the planet demands attention for that period. So in these 21 days of Mercury, it simply means we need to go back and work on the energies of Mercury. So all the significations of Mercury will be hyper-focused in this time. So if communication, electronic devices are going wrong, it simply means we are generally negligent in that area. So Mercury will expose those faults by causing the energy to go wrong. So we can focus on this. So we might send the wrong email or the wrong message. To simply illustrate, we usually take these Mercury significations for granted. If Mercury has gone retrograde in the natal chart at birth, it means the karma of Mercury is very strong. So for this incarnation, the soul has to be very focused on these Mercury significations. Again, we will draw upon the knowledge we have to make a solid judgment on the area Mercury would want us to focus on. We have learnt about the significations of the planets, the houses, the ascendant sign, and the aspects, so the retrograde planet is adding to this knowledge. The retrograde planet in the natal chart wants us to go back and complete or fix the karma of the previous incarnation. So let us take all the planetary significations. So if Jupiter is retrograde, education, knowledge, and all the significations of Jupiter for our chart should be of our focus. Jupiter's retrograde period is about 120 days. Saturn retrograde would indicate much karma with this planet that hard work and discipline should be our focus. So a retrograde Saturn in the natal chart will not let us go easy. Saturn goes retrograde for about 140 days. Mars in retrograde will create a focus in our health and physical bodies, our willpower, and all the other significations of Mars. The retrograde period for Mars takes about 72 days. Venus in retrograde will focus on the relationships and finances. These areas will be tested. Of course, your own personal natal horoscope will show us in which area this manifests. Venus goes retrograde for about 40 days. Uranus in retrograde shows us that our focus should be breaking the rules and coming out with groundbreaking work which will disturb the status quo in that field. So the energies of Uranus would be strong. Innovation and out-of-the-box thinking would be what the soul will be gravitated towards. Uranus goes retrograde for about 150 days. Neptune's energy would be strong if it is in retrograde in the natal chart. The soul should focus on expressing beauty in literature, film, and other mediums which communicate in a beautiful and sensational manner. Neptune retrograde could create the master of illusions, so film and magic potential will be quite strong for the soul. Anything capturing the otherworldly. Neptune will go retrograde for about 160 days. Pluto goes retrograde for about 180 days. The explosive energies of Pluto would be quite strong, so determination and resilience would be potent within the soul. Like always, with so much explosive power, much discipline is required. Rahu and Ketu, the lunar nodes of the moon, are always in retrograde motion, so this highlights the power of the retrograde planets. I will not go into the different schools whether a retrograde planet is weak or strong. The entire chart needs to be analyzed to conclude this. All to know is that the retrograde planet is coming closer to the soul and to us and to our earth when the soul is taking birth. So this planet requires special attention. And like the karmic energies represented by the lunar nodes, the retrograde planet also carries the same karmic energy. It is another clue of our calling and destiny, because the soul chose to take birth when this planet was closer to the earth. So this must mean something. This is the basic knowledge of the retrograde planet in astrology. Now, let us look at the different variables which give rise to planetary strength. Please subscribe to the channel. Comment, like, and share. I'd be most grateful.